While specializing in Philadelphia sports, Too Close to Call will also discuss issues and events happening on a national scale. Too Close to Call airs Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Things are shaping up to be pretty odd. Little dust and musical beds. So it seems that
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is your host, Kevin Mihalik of 2Close2Call Sports in partnership with USLA Media and USLA Radio. Hopefully everybody out there is having an excellent Monday afternoon here, just past 4 o'clock. I'm going to be on for the next 55 minutes or so, getting you through the rest of your work day here Monday afternoon. I know everybody's probably busy out there, a lot going on. Well, hopefully I can give you a little bit of an escape from the real world and, all the madness that's been happening here over the past 6-7 weeks, whatever the heck it's been now. I don't even know how long we've been in quarantine anymore. Just it's Bill Murray Groundhog's Day out here. One day is the same as the last. I got a 2-year-old at home. I know everybody with kids, they're not in school. So you got the Zoom classes going on twice a day for myself. My wife and I, we're exchanging those times so I can talk to you guys here. But this being the sports show here at USLA Media, we're going to kind of keep it in that world as best we can with really 2 topics today. We're going to break it down into 3 segments as best we can, but really only 2 topics happening out there right now. And the first one is last night, Sunday night, ESPN aired The Last Dance, which is the 10-part mini-series, docu-series, documentary, whatever the hell you're calling it out there, basically about Michael Jordan and the 1997-1998 Bulls, which were the last of the 6 championships for Michael and the Bulls and everything going on there. So this was due to be released in the month of June, but based on popular demand, pretty much everybody on social media hit up ESPN and was like, yo, we got nothing to watch. There's no live sports, no nothing going on. Can we please get this documentary now instead of waiting for June or July when all sports could be coming back at the same time? You're not going to want to compete against that. And ESPN, to their credit, was pretty much like, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll go ahead and release this over the course of 5 weeks, 2 at a time, for the total of 10-part segment. So last night was parts 1 and 2, basically setting the scene, kind of giving you a background. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what's going on because it's a heck of a documentary so far. There's really no, news, new news. That's a dumb way to say that, but there's nothing new there. We know everything that's gone on so far. There's really no breaking, aspects of what's happening, but breaking it down here, they've talked about 3 individuals thus far. And you can see next week, they're going to talk about Dennis Rodman in much more detail. And Michael's kind of the overlying aspect of the entire thing. But it starts out first off with Jerry Krause. And for those of you who don't know Jerry Krause, first off, just Google an image of this guy. Just look it up. The guy is 5'2". I don't know. He's probably like 5'6", but he's 5'2", 250 pounds, roly-poly, and just the documentary basically starts by painting this guy as the villain. And it starts out with saying, hey, Phil Jackson, coach, I know we just won 2 straight NBA champions, but I'm thinking about breaking up what we have going on here. And all of the players after their 5th championship are like, dude, run it back. Like, what's the deal? And this Krause guy is just a buffoon. It really is. I mean, he basically goes into Phil Jackson's office and says, hey, even if you go 82-0 and win the NBA title again, this is your last year with the Chicago Bulls. And dude, what? Like, how much more of a stooge can you be? You've won back-to-back titles. You got everybody coming back. You should be doing everything in your power to run this back one more time. And instead, he's doing everything in his power to break this thing up. It doesn't make sense. And now I preface this by saying that Jerry has since passed away. So he is no longer with us because he was a little bit older in the 90s, 20 years later here certainly makes sense. But he's not here to kind of give his side of the story or back up people talking smack on him. But dude, this guy's getting absolutely crushed because you got Scottie Pippen, you got Michael Jordan, you got Dennis Rodman, you got Phil Jackson, you got Tony Kukoc, you got all these dudes just mopping the floor with the rest of the NBA. And all he's trying to do is break it up and move on and rebuild. And it makes no sense. Could you imagine? Basically, I mean, it happened as recent as a couple years ago. Think the Golden State Warriors. So they win one, Kevin Durant comes in, and basically after they would win their second, the front office would be like, yeah, we're trying to get rid of everybody here because I don't like these people. And just what? It made no sense for Jerry to do what he's doing. And it just showed the time too, because Twitter didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist. Social media didn't exist. So not only could the players not voice their displeasure in a public manner, such as they can today, but there also wasn't the public outcry or you couldn't get that immediate response from the majority of the public to what's going on. So when Jerry comes out and basically says, hey, I think organizations win championships and players don't win championships. Think about if somebody said that right now. If they ran out LeBron, Durant, Irving, all of these guys, and he was basically like, yeah, I think it's organizations. I don't think it's the guys on the court at all. It would just poof, like it would explode. It's fascinating to think of the time and society in the mid to late 90s as opposed to now, and just the thought process of everything going on. And this continues as a theme throughout the first couple of episodes here. But just Jerry Krause, man, he's painted as the ultimate villain and just an idiot. Like, he's named executive of the year a couple of times, but this guy was doing everything in his power to screw it up and not even do the right thing. So hopefully we learn more about Jerry, some behind the scenes, but openly MJ talking shit right on Jerry. Hey, you going to do layups with us? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, they got to lower the hoop, man. Or like, oh, how do you stay so thin? Are those diet pills? As the guy's like 250 in a roly-poly. It's fascinating that ownership, management, and the players could just all be on different wavelengths, all literally hate each other, as we found out. Well, we'll transition that way talking about this next guy. So in the second episode, they highlight Scottie Pippen. I know Scottie is Michael's number two. I'm 31 years old. So I was, 10, 11 years old, kind of when this was going down, really just understanding sports, more so just watching it, not really knowing what's going on behind the scenes. But Scottie Pippen signed a 7-year, $18 million deal in 1991 that took him through this 98 season. Well, he signed that deal because he's one of 12 brothers and sisters. Nobody in his family really, kind of made it to this point. So that 18 million feeds a lot of mouths, takes care of a lot of people that he has to deal with. So he jumped at the fact to take the money. But then by the end of the deal, you realize this guy's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's Michael's number 2. He's just as important to the Chicago Bulls' success as Michael is, potentially, as we saw before he got there. Mike wasn't able to win one. When he left, Mike wasn't able to win one. So these two together were clearly a tandem. But by the end of his deal, Scottie Pippen was the 122nd highest paid player in the NBA. And I forget the guy's name. And the reason I forget the guy's name is because I don't know who the hell he is. Right now, the 122nd highest paid guy in the NBA, I've never heard of. I don't know who he is. So Scottie Pippen, a top 5 player, being compensated like this guy was just unbelievable and fascinating. And, Scottie being a little petty, this was kind of funny too. So they win their second title in 96, 97 of the two different three-peats. They won 3, then Mike decided to play baseball. Then they came back and they won 3 again. Well, after the second one there, Scottie needed surgery, I think on a foot, or I forget what the hell it was, but needed surgery. So he decided that I'm not ruining my summer. I'm not getting
Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
All right, and we're back.
Hey, honey.
Didn't know if you could hear me there.
Why don't you
Technical
take a minute?
difficulties on my end, I suppose. Looks like I lost internet and then it came back. So now I'm back on the Zoom here. Hopefully you can hear me again. But basically, Scotty, there were insults going on with Jerry Krause, everything online, just on the bus. It was hysterical. All right, let's regather here now that we're back. I don't know if something upstairs just happened, but all right. So Phil Jackson, let's round it out talking Phil Jackson. Then we'll do some overviews here live. But Phil Jackson, he basically won 6 straight NBA championships as a coach. Now, I looked up his stats, and I missed 1 year in there because he sat out 1998, 1999 after his three-peat with the Bulls. Then he comes back and wins 3 straight with the LA Lakers. So Phil Jackson, for 6 straight years that he actually coached basketball in the NBA, won the NBA title. And this is the guy Jerry Krause was like, I'm going to get rid of you. I don't need you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. I don't know what's going on. So it's just fascinating. But from a high-level overview in regards to the NBA then and now, not just Michael, not just Scotty, but when Mike was drafted out of UNC, the Bulls GM even said, I would have taken Hakeem Olajuwon number 1 overall. It's a 7-foot league. He's a 7-footer. Hakeem the Dream obviously ended up having a fantastic, career. So it just shows that Sam Bowie, he goes number 2. He's another 7-footer. And then Michael Jordan goes number 3. And the feedback basically was that Mike needs to realize he's not 7 feet. He can't carry a team on his own. He's not going to be able to do it for 82 games straight. He's going to struggle. And just what? Imagine that in 2020. Hey, Steph Curry, he can't take you here. You're not 7 feet. There's no way you're going to be a stud. Or, any of these other guards, LeBron James even. There is no LeBron James without Michael Jordan. And that's kind of the difficult part of the GOAT conversation. The greatest of all time is, there isn't one without the other. Like if Mike doesn't come along and do what he does, LeBron probably doesn't get the same shot. Nobody takes him that high because they still think 7-footers rule the world. So just to hear the reaction from Walt Frazier, other individuals in the league going, yeah, Mike's good, but he's not 7 feet. So, he better relax. He's not going to be the best of the best. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? And, oh man. And then another takeaway I had too was load management. Jordan hated load management. So in his second year, he broke a bone in his foot, ankle, somewhere down there. He wasn't able to play. Basically, he convinced the Bulls to let him go back to North Carolina so he could go back to school, try to finish his degree. Well, what they didn't know, that while he was there, he was actually playing pickup basketball upwards of an hour and a half a day. And then they cue back to Chicago when he comes back, and they say, hey, what were you doing? He goes, yeah, I was playing all day, every day. What do you want from me? They basically said, dude, there's a 10% chance that if you re-injure this, you can never play basketball again. And he was straight up like, yo, I don't care. I'm playing. Like, get out of here. And then it came down to the fact where they gave him 7 minutes a half. They gave him 14 minutes a night. And he was losing his mind. It was fascinating to see about how Mike and, Michael, after he hit that game-winning shot, that was other part of the documentary in Carolina, is after he hit that, that winner his freshman year to win the NCAA title, he was no longer Mike. He was now Michael. So when Michael Jordan basically says, I can't take this, I need to play every day, fast forward to 2020, you got the likes of Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, whoever it is going, we played last night. I'm a little bit tired. We had to travel from Philadelphia to New York City. I think I'm going to sit this one out, guys. I want to be ready for the playoffs. Mike he spits on that, man. He's like, yo, let me play. You want to be the greatest? You play 82. You do it. That's another reason why I think he's one of the top guys. So it was a fascinating watch. The Bulls, when he got there, they were called the quote unquote, the Bulls traveling cocaine circus. So that tells you all you need to know about Chicago, the Bulls, and how that team was before MJ showed up to right the ship there. So it was just fascinating to see what's going on. But you know what? Let's pause here. Let's stop. First time here. we got NFL draft talk coming up. I want to get into that pretty heavily and then talk birds out of the back end. But if you didn't see The Last Dance, check it out. They're 2 parts in out of 10. It was on ESPN. I think you can watch it on demand on ESPN. Eventually, it's going to make its way to Netflix for everybody to check it out. But let's pause for a word from one of our sponsors right here now. And when we come back on the flip side, we're going to talk NFL draft. We're going to start nationally talking about some of the rumors, what may happen, some of the prop bets. And then we're going to wrap up the show talking birds on the flip end. But let's go to commercial here. Hang on with us. I'm Kevin Mihalik, Too Close to Call Sports. We'll be right back.
Falling out with what's it all about. When everybody gets there, and everybody gets their way.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
And welcome back, everybody. What's going on? It's Kevin Mihalik, your host of Too Close to Call Sports here on Usala Media and Usala Radio. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties in that first segment there. We lost you for about a minute, but what are you going to do? I mean, we're all at home. We're on Zoom. We're part of 1 million people probably on Zoom right now. The internet went out, but that's a good transition here into segment number 2 in the NFL draft. And I say that because the NFL draft is scheduled for this Thursday. However, a few hours ago, again, recording this Monday afternoon, they did a mock NFL draft with all 32 teams, basically saying, hey, let's test this. You know, you don't want to go live first time on national television. Well, reports are that there were already glitches, already screw-ups, already people popping in and out of Zoom like I just did there, talking to themselves or talking to the wall here since nobody's listening anymore. And it was literally with the first pick, with the Cincinnati Bengals trying to pick Joe Burrow, there was a glitch, and it was apparently, quote unquote, not enough bandwidth. Whatever the hell that means. For you tech-savvy people out there, you'll know we're overloading the system is more or less what I was getting out of that. But, yeah, so we're going to be in for a long night Thursday, long day Friday, long day Saturday. I'm all for it because there ain't nothing else going on. I'll tell you that much. So even if there are glitches, what the hell? Come back to me in 30 seconds or a minute like I did here today. I don't really care. But that made me laugh because I talked to my boys, right? I was like, hey, you guys know the conference calls you're on at work. You guys know, I'm talking, you're talking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Like all of that's going to be going on. You're going to see the person's mouth move, and you're going to hear every third word, and it's like, and it just, oh my God, I cannot wait for it to just be a total circus, everybody to hate it and then love it at the exact same time. Because even as, you know, as shitty as it's going to be, I need it. We need it. You know, the country needs it. We need stuff to sports wise, I suppose. Yeah. You know, that's very niche, but whatever. Sports wise, it's something to carry us on, and draft talk and conversation will carry us sports guys, us sports media members for a month over that, you know, because we'll talk about everybody specifically. Then we'll talk about, hey, this is what they did or did not get. So this is who is still left in free agency. These are the moves they'll make, blah, 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 blah. So you got to do it. And, you know, again, if you push back the draft, it's not like they're going to be able to do it in person in July, August, September. And then at that point, you're getting into the regular season. So you could really only push it back a month or so. It's still going to have to be online at that point. So I just do it. Just do it. Nike, free pub for you guys. But wanted to talk nationally about some rumors that have been coming out here this week, some prop bets, things along those lines for you guys. The first rumor, starting kind of top of the draft, working our way down here a little bit. A lot of the rumors come out of the top 10, the top 15, because once you get past like 15 to 20, you really start to get into that, hey, man, these are all stretches. These are all reaches anyway. We don't really know if this guy's going to pan out. It's just he's the next top guy on the board. There really are like 5, 10, 15 elite prospects per year. I don't know exactly how many there are this year. It depends on who you talk to or who you ask. I typically think it's like 13 or 14 if you're looking at certain positions. But at the top of the draft, one of the rumors that's been coming out here recently, and your first initial reaction, as long, mine was too, is like, get the out of here, man. The Giants are interested in the quarterback position. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Giants team that took Daniel Jones in the first round last year is interested in a quarterback again this year. Well, if we look at history, we don't have to go too far to see another team that's done something very similar to this. A la the Arizona Cardinals. They take Sam Rosen, 10th, 12th overall. He kind of plays, doesn't play. Sam Bradford's there. Well, the next year they get number 1 overall. They take Kyler Murray because Kyler's better than Sam Rosen. So I don't give a shit if you have a quarterback or not. If this guy's better and you have the opportunity, this is a pick for 10, 15 years, 5, 10 years, whatever the hell it is. So if you're looking at Daniel Jones and you're going, yeah, we gave him a year. We got him in the building. We talked to him every day. We worked him out. This is what we're thinking. I don't know if he's the guy. Then, yeah, of course you're interested at quarterback at number 4. So what do you do? Okay, let's go. Mock draft style. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. Joe Burrow, Chase Young, corner from Ohio State tends to be 3, Okun. So then you got the Giants at 4 with their pick. Is it Tua with his injury history? Is it Justin Herbert, the Oregon kid who was a high-ranked pick and then kind of had a so-so year this past year? And then if you take one of those guys, a lot of, the smoke seems to be around Justin Herbert from Oregon and him having the highest ceiling really out of any guy, or, maybe not the highest ceiling, but the highest floor potentially out of anybody. You take him at number 4. Then all of a sudden you garner interest in Daniel Jones. Does somebody who's interested at quarterback at the 7, 8, 9, 10 mark, do they now look to the Giants and say, yeah, I'll give 10 for Daniel Jones. He's played in the league for a year. He's gotten NFL looks. We now have tape that we can improve upon. We know what he does well. We don't know what he does well. And you have more of a body of work to evaluate than these college kids like Tua, who's coming in kind of banged up, got a knee injury, a hip injury, an ankle injury, a foot injury, all of this stuff. It's like, oh, man, maybe there is something to that. Maybe the Giants saw Daniel Jones and say, hey, this guy isn't our guy. He's still played well enough to get first-round value. So do you take Herbert at 4, trade Jones at 12, and then take your O-lineman at number 12? Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you're going to take an O-lineman at 4. That's what everybody's saying. And is that good value at 4? That guy better be a hell of an offensive lineman. It better be Lane Johnson you're picking up there. The Eagles hit on that one at number 3 overall years and years ago, where other linemen around him haven't panned out as well, like Eric Fisher. He's floated around. I think he was in Jacksonville that same year. But interesting take. I'd love to hear from some Giants fans what they think about the Giants possibly going Herbert, trading Jones for maybe 10, 11, I don't know, and then taking the tackle from Louisville, Becton, who seems to be a stud athlete and, 2% body fat at 350 pounds. It's an interesting conversation. And if that value is there, it could be done. So before you go, Kev, shut the hell up. Do some digging. All right. I'm that's where the smoke screen's coming from. David Gettleman keeping the people guessing. That's for sure. So moving on down. This one's been reported a couple of different times, so there's certainly truth to this one. The 49ers are looking to trade, if not one, both of their first-round picks. They got a first-round pick for DeForest Buckner recently. I believe it was from the Indianapolis Colts at number 12 or number 13. And then they have number 31 which is their first round pick, runner up in the Super Bowl, 31. But they don't pick again to like 150. They don't pick again to like the fourth round. And not having a 2 or a 3 drives general managers nuts because they got to sit there for an entire day, just watch guys they like go off the board, go off the board, go off the board. You're sitting there going, yo, 5, 6, 7. Who the hell cares? Let's trade them all for one more guy. But then you walk out of there with 2 or 3 picks, and you can't do that because then you got to go to free agency and you can't sustain that long term, which is kind of where the Eagles are. Subplot here is they've had the least amount of picks over the past 2 years due to that Carson Wentz trade. But we'll get back to that. So, talking about the Niners, I don't know if they move 12. I think they make that move 31. They could move out of, kind of move into the second round, pick up a third round pick. That way you got 3 picks throughout the first 3 rounds. Or they move 13. They get a 2 and a 3. So then you get 31, 2, and 3. I don't know if there's as much value in that. I haven't done the exact math based on the chart, of where they weigh all the picks online that everybody uses for reports and things like that. So, going to be interesting to see what they do there, but clearly developing the defensive line, clearly going Garoppolo, O-line. Oh man, it's going to be tough. I think they may use that top pick on a receiver, but if the Eagles want to move up, that's an area where they're talking about, and they're saying 53 and a third or a fourth could get you up that high if you're really looking to go get CD Lamb or Jerry Jeudy or whoever it is from one of those guys, but not so fast. Say the Denver Broncos, because the Broncos apparently reports, allegedly want a playmaker for Drew Lock. They got their second round quarterback, Drew Lock, out of Missouri, performed pretty well. John Elway likes him, but he needs weapons. They got Lindsey at running back, undrafted free agent, but really nobody on the outside for Lock to connect with here. And they're looking to move from 15 into the top 10, 8, 9, 10 to take Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. That is the report, quote unquote, Jerry Jeudy moving up to 8, 9, or 10. And again, if they're jumping the Niners and you're going to go there to get Jeudy, well, you obviously have to wait to see what the Broncos do and move from there. It certainly makes sense. Jerry Jeudy, arguably the top receiver in the class. Him and CD Lamb out of Oklahoma, arguably 1, 2. Henry Ruggs from Alabama seems to be number 3 up there as well. Judy's route running, his radius, his athleticism, his catching ability in traffic. It certainly lends himself to being a top pick, top 15. But that's where they're worried he's not going to make it to 15 and he'll be gone by the top 10. So they'll have to move up. And the last report here to talk about is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Apparently, they're not done wheeling and dealing. I don't know what the hell Jacksonville's end game is here. I really don't understand their process. Now, I will say this, that I'm not a huge Jaguars fan, so I don't know the ins and outs of the entirety of the roster. I'm looking at this through the lens of 3 years ago, the same year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The Jaguars were in the AFC Championship game and should have beaten the New England Patriots. You remember this shit? The coach, didn't go for it before half, tried to run the ball in the second half. They were winning that game, ended up losing late in the AFC title game. Now, fast forward a couple years later, Blake Bortles is gone, which, okay, no problem. Bring in Nick Foles. He lasts 1 year, 6 games, 8 games, gets hurt. They ship his ass up to Chicago. Now he's a Bear. Okay, so you really don't have a quarterback. Oh, wait, yes, you do. You got a 6th round Gardner Minshew who got hot for a month and a half, and I'm not sold on him being the real deal. Well, apparently they are, so they're going with Gardner, whatever. Okay, so what? Well, you're going to need to run the ball, protect him, play good defense, right? You got a rookie quarterback, 6th round kid, really not that good. If he was that good, he would have went higher. I'm talking attribute-wise, arm strength, reading the defense, that type of stuff. Well, now they apparently want to move on from their running back, who was a number 3 overall pick, number 4. I can't remember. He was top 5. But Leonard Fournette out of LSU, they're tired of him. They want to move on. He's had a couple of injuries, had a suspension for punching the guy in Buffalo or whatever the hell it was. That was fun. But now they want to move on from him. You also got Yannick Ngakoue on the defensive line, who's made it extremely clear that he wants to be shipped out of town. He doesn't care where. They moved Jalen Ramsey last year at the deadline. Everybody wanted him from Philadelphia. So you move a stud corner. You're going to move know what the hell you guys are doing, what you guys are thinking. You get rid of Tom Coughlin, all of that going on. It's just, it makes no sense. So those are the rumors at the top of the list. Keep an eye on the Giants, the Niners, the Broncos, and the Jags. But now it's time. Let's look at some prop bets here over the next 5 minutes or so before we get into our Eagles talk to wrap up today's episode. Number one, prop bet, Tua Tagovailoa, his draft position, over under 5.5. So is he going to be a top 5 pick, yes or no? Oh, God. The more we get closer, the more I don't think he is. My gut says, listen, the Miami Dolphins, all of last year, were tanking for Tua. That was the thing before Joe Burrow lit everything up. They were going to be number one. They were going to get Tua, 5-star kid out of high school, wins a national championship his freshman year, yes or no, his second year. Jalen Hurts, back and forth, whatever the hell it is, comes up short his third year, but he's the guy that everybody's going after. Well, now he's got 3 injuries, the most recent of it potentially being career-ending. Everybody's saying, hey, surgery went well. He's come back. He's showing you he's healthy in these videos. He's going to be fine. But yes, that is a concern for NFL teams anytime you get into ligament, cartilage damage, and not just kind of bones or, sprains, that type of thing, as well as the Wonderlic test. Now, the Wonderlic test basically tests quarterbacks' knowledge. Think SATs, okay? It's very similar. This is going to be stupid, but hey, if, 5 people go in and they do X, Y, Z, and then 4 people come out, like what happened? Or, hey, a train's going this way, this fast, this way, this fast, how long before they cross, that type of stuff. Well, Tua scored a 13. And the highest I think you can get is a 50, a 45, something like that. I may be wrong, but the average is 20 or above. And basically, when you get to 13, my first question is, can the kid actually read? Do we know if he can actually read? Now, I'm not talking about read defenses. We know he can read defenses. I've watched the kid play football. I know he understands X's and O's. But can he actually read a book? I don't know. That's just where I'm at. So it's 13. You look at some of the names. Yeah, some guys who are really high, they suck in the NFL. Some guys who are low, they're very good. Dan Marino, I think, was a 15 back in the day. So it's basically just like, dude, we don't pay him to read books. We pay him to read defenses. And the kid can clearly do that pre and post snap. He's shown that on his college film. Not only, hey, pre-snap, read, react, but post, hey, they changed this up. Let's go over here now. So, very much, I'm not saying the kid can't play in the NFL. I'm just saying it's one of those going, wait a minute. I thought you were a smart kid. What the hell just happened there? And Richard Sherman comes out, the Stanford guy, saying, oh, they give it to you when you're tired and you're exhausted and you can barely focus and blah, 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 blah. Well, I got news for you, bro. That's called the fourth quarter of a football game. All right. You're tired and you can't focus and you get out of here, Richard Sherman. I'm sick of your shit. I'm serious, man. Just get out of here with, oh, it's this is why they do it and this is why people score bad. Thank you. We appreciate it, Richard. Okay, God, did you say your piece? You can get the hell out of here now because nobody asked you. Nobody cares. You're just tweeting. You're a corner. Just guard the guy in front of you. Okay, so Tua, not a high score there. Herbert, very high. Potentially, that's where I get to the ceilings, arguable, but the floor for Herbert could be a little higher based on health, injuries, and just kind of all of that stuff, man. I thought that was a fascinating conversation. The next one, Herbert, over under 5.5. So basically I told you I think Herbert's going to go higher than Tua. So I would pick him in front. D tackle Derek Brown out of Auburn, over under 8.5. I would pick him. Oh, man, that's a good one. 8 would be the highest he goes. 10, 11 would be the lowest. Let's go over 8.5, win some money. I'm talking about it here. Total Alabama players drafted in the first round. Could you imagine being a college program where people bet on how many of your guys are going in the first round? Not the draft, but the first round. What? They're at 5. So let's talk about it. We got Tua, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. Those are the 3 we've mentioned. O-lineman Jedrick Wills. He's a top 10 pick, potentially to the Giants at 4. So he's good. That's 4. And Xavier McKinney. He's a safety. He's clearly a first-round guy. So you got 5 right there, hence the over-under at 5. That means the wild cards are defensive end Terrell Lewis and cornerback Trayvon Diggs. Well, when you're a corner, okay, so here it comes. Trayvon Diggs, probably the third or fourth corner, but let's get as elementary as we can here for you non-football fans. Played at Alabama, plays in the SEC, ran a 4.4, decent size. Kid's going to be a first rounder. It's that simple. You play at Alabama, you play in the SEC against the likes of LSU and all these receivers, you perform, and then you go out, run fast, and, perform with all your other different metrics, whatever it is, the 40, long jump, broad jump, all that BS. I think you're going to go. I think Terrell Lewis may go. So there may be 7 of them, but definitely 6. Take the over on that one. And then let's see here. First running back drafted. I like this one, actually. Because the favorite is DeAndre Swift, local kid, St. Joe's Prep, Philadelphia, right down the road. We all know DeAndre went down to Georgia, had himself a solid 3 years. But Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin, outside chance he could go before DeAndre. He's at plus 200. That's a little more value. DeAndre Swift at minus 182. If you want to go Jonathan Taylor, I think both of them are going to be close and arguable at the end of round 1 there for sure. So we'll see. But first lineman drafted, I just told you Wills will probably go. Josh Jones over under 28. And that's not what you want to do. So that's pretty much it for the mock drafts. For the prop bets, take the over 5 Alabama guys. Take Tua over position number 5. Take Derek Brown higher than position number 8. And I think it's going to be fun. But speaking of some mock drafts, they've changed. And now I don't know what the hell do they even talk? Do they talk to the coaches? Is that how they get these mock drafts, these guys in the media? Because there's been changes at the top. So let's pause right here for a word from one of our sponsors. When we come back, we'll transition into Birds Talk. These guys over my right shoulder, your left, if you're looking at me. Here we go. These guys up here too, 4133. Woohoo. We'll talk birds. And so I'm your host, Kevin Mihalik, 2Close2Call Sports, partnership Usala Media and Usala Radio. If you haven't done so yet, I know some of you have, most of you have probably, leave us a review, follow, subscribe, rate both Usala Media Radio as well as 2Close2Call Sports on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know, Twitch, whatever the hell you're following nowadays, TikTok. So we're going to hit a word from our sponsors here. Hang with us on the other side. Kevin Mihalik, 2Close2Call Sports. We're going to talk birds.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Close to Call Sports. I am Kevin Mihalik in partnership with Usala Media and Usala Radio. Want to give a shout out to my producer, Dylan. You guys can't see his beautiful face, but he's working hard behind the scenes for not only myself, but everybody across the board at Usala Media since it's crazy, man. I mean, we've cut out twice here since Zoom's going on. I got Wi-Fi extenders. We got all types of stuff, trying to help it out, trying to make sure we can work from home. My wife's now from home. It's madness. It's chaos. And, Dylan's doing his thing here to keep the content rolling for you guys out there. So Shout out to him one last time. But let's see here. 3rd and 5. Yeah, there you go, bro. Right? It's just crazy. I mean, I cut out twice here. What the hell? But that's on me, so no biggie. But the Birds, we're talking Eagles, NFL draft. It is Monday afternoon. Things changing by the day here when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and what's happening. And now, here's the deal. So, Callie and Pags, I'm going, hey, if this is a scenario, what do you do here? There's a million of these. And yes, I guess if we were running a simulation, hey, these are the most likely scenarios to happen. Or the way I look at it personally is I try to remove names when you look at mock drafts and just detail positions. Then the follow-up conversation becomes, because you're a fan of one team, right? So I'm a fan of the Eagles. The problem with mock drafts, the problem with media members, the problem with most fans out there, yeah, I'm talking to you guys listening. You're part of the problem. I'm going to piss you off here with what I'm about to say. But fans draft for immediate need on the football team. Okay? You talk to any Eagles fan. What do we need? Wide receiver. We need a speedy wide receiver. We have no help there. We have none of this. We have none of that. It's wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. And yes, when you look at the 2020 product of the Philadelphia Eagles, they probably need a wide receiver. Now, take a half a step back. Act like this is your job 24/7, right? Act like you're Howie Roseman. You're not only looking at the 2020 Philadelphia Eagles. You're planning for the 2021, the 2022, and if you're good at your job, the 2023 and 2024 Eagles. Because Howie, unlike some other guys, and this is where they get in trouble, because job security is huge in this instance, right? If Howie takes some kid, think Andre Dillard. Howie took a first-round pick who barely played last year. Did he get a ton of shit from everybody? Not really, because we knew Jason Peters is moving on. This kid's the future. This kid's, I don't know why I went into Donald Trump when I'm talking about the future, but I did, so we'll stay with it. We're talking Dillard at left tackle. He's the future, okay? This is what we're doing. We're not thinking about tomorrow. That's how you run a football team, all right? You look at the 2020 team. Yes, there are needs. A lot of times you're not going to use your top asset for a need that is strictly for a year. Some of the conversation here then becomes, okay, let's look at wide receiver. Let's do it. Let's look at 2020 compared to 2021. You're looking at 2020, yet again, coming back to Deshaun Jackson. Alshon Jeffrey is going to be here, unless he gets traded on draft day, which he might, but I don't think it's going to be in the first round. I don't think you're going to get a first rounder for Alshon Jeffrey. So if you're taking a first round receiver, you're picking him knowing that Jeffrey is still on your roster for this year. Oh, by the way, he's coming off a foot injury that usually takes a year, so he's not going to be healthy till the middle of the year, potentially past the trade deadline. So you may not be able to move him at all for what's going on. So he's back. You got who else coming back? J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's out there. Greg Ward is out there. So those are your four. You're looking at that. So now if you move to 2021, okay, now I see it a little bit, right? You probably move on from Deshaun Jackson. You're definitely going to move on from Alshon Jeffrey. So what do we look like at the wide receiver position? Oh, now it's only Greg Ward. Okay, well, give me a wide receiver then. We need him for the future to grow. But people need to understand, if they take a wide receiver at 21, I'm not against it, all right? I know it's one of the needs. I don't think it's the way they should go in the first round personally. But if they do, I'm cool with it, all right? I'm going to put that out there. But I'm just saying, this kid, whoever it is that they take in the first round, is not going to light it up this fall for a multiple of reasons, okay? The first one is there's going to be no offseason program. COVID-19 basically said, hey, suck it. You guys aren't going to get there until the fall, and then even then, training camp may be shortened and what have you. But there's going to be no offseason program. They're basically going to be sent a playbook saying, here, learn this, do your thing. But the coaches aren't going to be able to get their hands physically on them for a year. So they're going to be behind going into this year, which in my eyes puts J.J. Arcega-Whiteside ahead of this kid going into next year. And he couldn't even get on the field as a second-round receiver in his rookie year. And then if you go receiver, okay, so you're basically telling me we're going to move on, and then our two receivers are going to be Arcega-Whiteside. We'll say Justin Jefferson at 21. Those are our two. And then you got your two tight ends. You got Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. So rewind back to 2020. You got those two studs, meaning they're on the field. So then you can only go 2 wide receivers tops. You're not going to go 3 wide, which means Deshaun Jackson, one of them. Then you got one other guy potentially. Is it going to be Jefferson over Arcega-Whiteside? Again, I don't think so, because he's not going to have an offseason. For the second straight year, you're going to take a first-round pick who's really not going to contribute when it comes to year one. You're going to disagree with me. You're going to, Kev, you're an idiot. There's no shot. They take Jefferson. He's going to dominate first year. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And you can come back to me next year if it ends up being different, regardless of injury and all of that stuff. There's changes, could be injury, could be changes. You never know. But it's not the way to go. As well as basically, okay, so look at the two teams, right? Do the Philadelphia Eagles want to be more of the San Francisco 49ers or more of the Kansas City Chiefs? If they go receiver and they go speed, they're looking to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They're looking to spread everybody out offensively, which means Dallas Goedert isn't going to play as much as he is, which means you wasted a second-round pick because he hasn't really performed up to a second-round pick standard. He's been very, very good, and he's very, very good athletically. But a second-round tight end is typically your number one tight end, not your number two. Well, we got Zach Ertz doing that. So you're going to move on from him because you're going to go 3-4 wide, one of them being Zach Ertz because he's pretty much a slot receiver anyway. If you go that way, put Goddard at tight end, put Ertz in the slot, put D-Jack outside, put whoever else you want beside him. JJ, I guess if he sucks, well, then you suck at drafting because you took him a year ago in the second round. So my philosophy is inside out, defense before offense when it comes to top assets. We saw down the stretch Carson Wentz light it up with a 7th-round running back, potentially undrafted, who's 5'6", 180 pounds, named Boston Scott. Okay, that's fine. Sanders mixed in. Cool. We're good there. We got a college quarterback playing wide receiver down the stretch and great points. D-Jack and Jeffrey nowhere to be found, and we're still, lighting it up if Wentz gets time and he's accurate and all of those things. So personally, I think they go defense. If one of the linebackers falls, I don't think they go linebacker. I think they should or could, but I don't think they do because you can't go linebacker. You got to go D-line or O-line. It's just, which I think they're going to trade back in the first round. I think they're going to take somebody who nobody's excited about. Everybody gets pissed off, but then you watch them this fall and they light it up because, again, it gets back to my argument, right? 2020 D-line may not be a huge need. 2021 defensive line is a huge need. You're going to, Fletcher Cox isn't getting any younger. Malik Jackson out of Jacksonville, you signed on a 2-year deal, so he'll be gone. Let's see here. Derek Barnett's going to be coming off his rookie deal. Hasn't been fantastic. He'll be gone. Brandon Graham will basically have, 1 year left on his deal if they want him on the outside. There's nobody there. Hargrave, who they just signed, he's on a 2-year structure. So you have 1 year of him left. You need turnover down in the future, and you need to get after the quarterback to win in the National Football League. You either need to score 50 points a week or get after the quarterback. And I think the latter is going to be more important, as well as the back end, the corners, the safeties. We traded for Slay. He's good. He's locked in. We signed Rodney McLeod back for a year. That's one of our safeties. We signed Jalen Mills for 1 year. That's our other safety. We got Avonte Maddox on his rookie deal for another year, maybe 2. That's one of our corners. We signed Nickel Robbie Coleman, one of our corners, for 1 more year. We got Rasul Douglas on the outside for 1 more year. You got Sidney Jones on the outside for 1 more year. We got nobody back there who's signed beyond this year besides Darius Slay. So if you go safety late in the first round, I'm okay with that. You got to get your Malcolm Jenkins replacement, safety and linebacker hybrid. Maybe they go with potentially. And then offensive line. I mean, guys, if Dillard can play or he can't play, either way, is Jordan Mailata our swing tackle? If Lane Johnson goes down or if Dillard can't cut it, we're going to go to a rugby guy who's never played football. Then you move internally. Jason Kelsey, he's year to year. He's kind of retiring, not retiring every year. What do you got there? On the right side, you got Brandon Brooks, who's an absolute monster, but starting to get a little bit banged up. Achilles tear 2 years ago, shoulder last year. Things are kind of piling up there. Samalu, some people are high, some people are low, but our depth offensively isn't great. So even if Wentz has the weapons, if you can't protect him, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So go ugly. So it's big uglies in team speed. And I just think the value of the asset will determine which way they go. if Ruggs or one of these top guys falls at 21 again, jump all over it. One of these top receivers falls, do it. But the depth of this receiver class, I think the value difference between receiver 4 and receiver 6 is so minuscule that the difference between defensive end 2 and defensive end 4 is huge. So take the D end and then get the receiver, and ultimately the value between the two of them will give you the most bang for your buck. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. But I am very much in the minority of all of the mock drafts, all the experts, all the fans, all the everybody else, receiver. And I'm going, dude, I want a defensive end. I want a D tackle. I want a guard. I want to trade out and get a guard. I don't see it, man. And if they trade up for a receiver, go get it, man. Shoot your shot, Howie. See what happens. But truly, people would hate me if I was the GM. I'd walk out of there with a shit ton of value, feeling good about myself, and everybody would be like, you didn't get your needs. You didn't get your needs. And you're like, yo, that's because you're talking about 2020. And personally, I don't think this is a Super Bowl team in 2020. Yeah, if things go the right way, they get a couple of bounces, people play well, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I understand they're not Super Bowl contenders, but I don't have them as the top seed in the NFC. I don't think they're one of the top 3 teams. Now, I didn't think they were going into 2017 either, and they, shoved it up my keister by winning the whole thing. But that's how you need to look at things. You cannot go year to year and say, this is our need, so we take this guy. Best player available. Say it one more time before we get out of here. Best player available. All right? Cool. Hit me up on social media if you disagree with me. I'm available. Too Close to Call is available. Usula's available. I want to chat with you guys. We can talk more. Maybe we'll get some reaction pods going this weekend in regards to draft class, what I'm thinking, what's going on. I love all of that. But the reality is uglies. Just people up front. Don't go pretty. Outside of that, later in the draft, go speed receiver, speed corner. Get me my guys. But right up front, man, give me the guys who do the dirty work, the guys nobody cares about. Those are the guys that'll win you football games come December, come January. But that wraps it up for today's episode of Too Close to Call Sports here on Usula Media and Usula Radio. It is just about 5 o'clock here now on Monday. If you're counting down the minutes till you can get out the door, we're about there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me here this last hour or so. This will run again tomorrow, Tuesday. Like I said, we'll have some updated content this weekend for you guys talking draft. And then next Monday, I'm hoping to have a few guys on here to, recap all the hoopla and everything that went on. One day, maybe we'll do birds only. The next day, we'll do the rest of the NFL. But as always, like, subscribe, rate, review the pod. Do all of that stuff for us here. I'm your host, Kevin Mihalik, Usula Media, Usula Radio. Shout out again, Dylan. Appreciate everything he's doing for us. So hang around. That's it, guys. We'll talk to you soon. I appreciate it. Peace.